Welcome to the Cancer Support Show. My name is Rick Hill, and along with Dr. Francisco Contreras, we'll be your hosts as we prepare another tasty, organic, all the adjectives, so that you get the kind of food that you want. Dr. Contreras, as you know, or may not know, I think everybody about knows about this time, entering the 50th year,
right?
50th anniversary for the Oasis of Hope. That is amazing. I was there 38 years ago, but you've been around there? Well, no, you couldn't have been around there. No. He's not that old. It was your father.
It was my father who...
Tell our listeners just a little.
In 1963, my father had a vision of how to treat patients, and as an oncologist, he noticed that we were just being mechanics of the human body and not really taking care of all of the spiritual and emotional needs that a cancer patient has. On top of that, the treatments available to cancer were insufficient. And that a major part of providing our bodies with the sufficient elements to fight back were not being provided. And foods are one of the most potent agents to combat cancer. And so he began seeking for ways of providing the best food for our patients and designing diets that were conducive to heal cancer. And so that's what we're talking about.
In my book, which is The Cancer Conundrum, I actually have your father's diet. And I put this in here more for nostalgic reasons, because you've gone way beyond this.
Yes.
But it's there, and I called it Our Food Bible, the Laetrile Modified Diet. And what's beautiful about that concept is that Dr. Ernesto Contreras was sharp enough to know that if he made it too onerous, too difficult to do, they wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
And I mean, here's what I wish. Here's why I'm doing this at this time of my life. I would like to reverse one thing out there. I would like them to try your treatment, the alternative approach, first, not second, third, or fourth.
Yes.
In other words, when I came to see your dad, I had not had chemotherapy, I had not had radiation, I'd had a lot of surgery, most of it not needed, but still, my immune system was still firing. That was what your dad said.
Yes.
He said, you know, because you haven't had all that stuff done to you, I feel confident for you to come down here, even though I had this high-grade embryonocele.
Yes. And Rick, we did a study, a clinical study prospective, comparing patients that came to us first versus patients that were treated before with chemotherapy. And the difference in the outcome, at 1 year, we had 100% of the patients with stage 4 cancers.
Yeah, mine was 3.
At 1 year, they were alive, all of them were alive. With conventional therapy, only 80% were alive. Mm-hmm. At the end of 5 years, the amount of patients that were alive that came to us first was 4 times higher than that of conventional therapy.
And what if you're one of those people?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I think about the value of my life every day, and I don't know how you put a price tag on that. You know, people say, well, I don't think my insurance will cover it, so I'm not going. And I think,
yes,
crying out loud, if I could, and I can't, and probably you can't, but if I could guarantee you this would cure you or get your life back in order, I don't know if you use the word cure, but this could get you, would it be worth that much money? Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. So
it's worthwhile trying. There's
holy cow. All right, today what we're going to do, in our last show we talked about everyday food. We built this beautiful giant salad that we do every day of the week. A little gluten-free bread toast, a little bit of fruit, maybe oatmeal or some kind of cereal that's low glycemic, not Cheerios.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. And then for lunch, we build this big salad. We don't always put protein in it. In fact, the first 5 years after I was to see the Oasis of Hope, I only used a little bit of protein, 3 ounces, maybe 2 ounces, once a week. Mm-hmm. And that would go on the salad. Or today, what we're going to do, let's say your parents are coming for dinner. It's Sunday dinner. What are you going to do? You want to fit in. You want to feel like life is normal. but it can never be totally normal again.
Correct.
At least mine hasn't been. You're always cognizant that you were threatened with the business end of a gun, cancer. And you know, for you, life is going to be a little different. But once a week we're talking, here's a special treat. So what's better on Sunday than pot roast?
Exactly.
I mean, everyone loves that.
And especially if you're going to invite somebody and you actually want them to come. Otherwise, they're going to have an excuse not to visit.
Yeah, we're having green drink and lettuce leaf.
Right.
Yeah, come on over. So what we've got here, this is the roast. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, that's about enough for me. No, you got to change your mind about that. We're not eating big slabs of meat anymore. Those days are gone. You can't do that. What you're doing is giving yourself a treat here where you take one little slice and eat it slowly. Because it might be a whole week before you get to do something like this again. So what we have here is a boneless beef tri-tip roast. And let me read it. It says all natural. No nitrates or nitrites added. No antibiotics, it says, ever. No hormones, ever. All vegetarian feeds and free range. No artificial ingredients. Never confined to a feedlot. In other words, it's grass-fed. So this is what we're going to have a little bit of as a treat today. I don't want to keep jumping on that, otherwise I'm going to get real boring.
But this information is very important because although there's no question that high quality protein, which is meat, is not the best for a cancer patient, really the chemicals and hormones in the meat is what's the most harmful. So if you're able to get those out, especially the hormones, because hormones that are used for meat are basically estrogen. And estrogen makes any tumor grow. In fact, estrogen causes cancer. So when you're sure that there is no hormones, that there's no antibiotics, because they use antibiotics to fatten the cows as well. And you're sure that these animals have consumed only vegetables, then you know that you have a good quality protein
and I know what our viewers are thinking. If it's got all those hash marks, if it's got all those characteristics, it's $100. Well, I want to show you the back of it just so you know that I didn't make this up. It is $12.81. So do you really have to buy this stuff that's full of hormones and antibiotics in order to have a treat like this on Sunday? I don't think so. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over to the sink and rinse this off and get it ready to put in our waterless, greaseless cookware. And then during this break, I'll come back and tell you about the waterless, greaseless cookware and how you can own your own set. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now you've had a chance to visit with me a little bit and talk about this wonderful waterless, greaseless cookware. I can tell you my grandkids absolutely insist, Grandpa, what we want for dinner, you're going to take the little pan and make vegetables. Because I just put a little bit of sea salt, but the flavor value. In fact, if they can hear little voices back there, tell them who that is.
That's my granddaughter.
That's right, we're really cooking here. It's a house. Well, that's not very professional. Well, then don't watch. What we want you to do is relax and know that we're giving you the very best information. So we've had this heating, and what we're going to do is sear this meat. Ooh. Now you hear that snap?
Yes.
And so that is going to stick to that pan. You would tear it up to get it out of there. But when the natural oils from that beef are drawn to, I know you get tired of me saying this, when they're drawn to the surface and they caramelize, it'll release. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you can flip it. And then what we're going to do is take it out of the pot, put a little beef stock, which, by the way, okay, organic.
Organic.
Yep. No hormones, no antibiotics, no poison. And then we're going to put a little bit of cornstarch. What's the other thing people thicken with? White flour. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with white flour is it's frankenwheat. In other words, according to some really smart people, the wheat that you and I are eating today is not the biblical wheat the Bible talked about. It's not even the wheat we ate as children. It's genetically modified. And a lot of us can't digest that. And for almost everyone, it causes some inflammation. What were you telling me about inflammation? Like it's a base cause of cancer?
Is the base cause of cancer, is the root cause of heart disease, is the root cause of arthritis, and all of the chronic ailments that are plaguing us begin with inflammation.
And, according to, so you can Google this, we're talking about things that are common knowledge here as far as wheat. But I've had a lot of people who are not celiac. They're not gluten sensitive in that their anti-gliadin count is not way off. But when they eat this new wheat, their joints hurt. Their knees hurt. I'm 61 years old. Pretty soon, my joints are going to hurt if I'm not careful.
Correct.
So I do want to be careful. So what's happening here is that's getting a nice sear on it. And in just a few minutes, we're going to pull that off, do the other side, and then make our gravy. And then we're going to add some nice carrots and onions. And we're going to build another salad. And
Wonderful.
We're going to have a nice Sunday treat here. I heard, they were telling me over at the hospital that you've started a new program, and that new program allows people for a very low amount of money to visit, well, I don't want to give it all away. What is the Visit, Learn, Decide program about?
Well, we've been doing this for a while, but what we want to do now is offer this program for people to come, learn about the Oasis of Hope, kick the tires, so to say. Come here. There's a lot of
now, do
issues.
they eat the organic buffet every day?
Yes.
3 times a day?
Yes. There's a lot of issues that, there's right now Mexico's too complicated. Tijuana is one of the safest cities in Mexico.
I grew up in Detroit.
That's tough.
I'm in
Or
Tijuana
Chicago.
twice a week. And I mean, I don't go down to Revolution Street at night with money hanging out of my pocket. I'm not an idiot.
Correct.
But the drive to the clinic, and then you're right across from the beach.
Very, very close. And really, I think that with so much information out there, it's very important that when you have a second opinion, you have it person to person. And so we're offering a complete checkup of the patient with some of the basic laboratory tests. We will review your case and then do an evaluation. We will have a meeting in our board about your case. And so in these 2 or 3 days that you spend with us, you will have a complete picture, not only of what is happening to you, but of what we can do to help you. And then you make the decision to say or not. Usually the value of this is about $1,500. Normally we charge about $300, $259, $300 for this checkup. For a limited time, it is going to be completely free. So if you want a second opinion, a third opinion, and you want to come with us, we would be very, very happy to host you with no cost to you to have an evaluation.
Okay, and then we'll get back to that discussion. I need to flip this. But it's got a nice char on it, and what I need to do is get a hold of it. And we're flipping that over.
Look at that color. That looks so wonderful. And the smell is very good.
So I came down to the Oasis of Hope Clinic in 1974, and I really, everyone says you were so brave. You had so much faith. The only faith I had was based on something your dad said. And when he said, look, you haven't had chemotherapy, you haven't had radiation, I think you're in an ideal way to be helped. And that's was the basis of my faith.
Yes.
Yep, we got another country herd from here. She's a cutie.
She is. A
So, if I were you, there's only one difference I'd make. One thing I'd change for America when it comes to cancer, not research, but treatment. And that is, try something like this first. Not second, not third, not fourth, not when no one else will even talk to you. They want you off their books. so you don't appear to be a failure for them. When I suggested to the Mayo Clinic that I wanted to go to Tijuana, he said, well, the chemotherapist said to me, well, it is warm there. In other words, what he was saying was,
Right.
we're not going to help you. They're not going to help you. Go somewhere where it's pretty. If you're dying, I'm not
Yes.
going to argue with you and fight with you over this, because that'd be silly. It'd be stupid. You're in a bad way. So I'm excited about this program. I hope that we've got to rent beds somewhere. Find big hotels where we can put people, because you deserve to have that chance to influence these people for the rest of their life.
And also, the patient deserves to have an option.
Yes.
It is so important that you know that there are options for you.
Yeah. I mean, I know what it's like when you feel like your time is actually up. It's a horrible feeling. Somebody says, you don't want to see Jesus? I said, yeah, but not now.
Well, what I tell my patients, if you have Jesus in your heart, you know that you're going to be there forever. What's the rush?
What's the rush? You got it. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this from the pan, and then we're going to make a gravy. And let me just show you what we got here. Oh yeah. Huh, Doc?
Yes, that looks wonderful.
Now we don't want to cut that now, because it would bleed out, and that's not what we're after. But we got some drippings in there, so what we're going to do is open this, and we're going to add some organic beef stock, and this is going to deglaze this pan. I was looking for my...
So you were saying that, normally when you put meat like that, it sticks so hard that it's so difficult to wash.
Yep,
Well,
this will come right up.
it's coming right out.
And that stainless steel, surgical stainless steel actually, is so hard that things just don't stick to it like a normal pan. And then we've got this, what we use to clean it with, that works just fine. Now, I've got regular filtered water here. We're just going to put a couple tablespoons of cornstarch, ladies and gentlemen, not white flour. Everybody hear me say that? Cornstarch. You don't need to thicken things with flour. That's got gluten in it, and most of it's bleached like crazy. So what we're going to do is just going to put a couple of tablespoons of this cornstarch. Give it a little mix.
And I think one thing that's important to notice to all of you, there's no question that cornstarch has a very high glycemic index. But as you saw, he put 2 tablespoonfuls
For six people.
6 people. That is not going to interfere with your diet in a significant way. And also that we're doing this once a week.
Yeah. Now, the reason I say this is, and practice this kind of thing, is because if you've been alive after treatment at Oasis for 38 years, you know exactly, Rosa was telling me that I could get a wooden spoon in that drawer. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to set this back in there. Actually, I don't want to puncture that. And pretty soon that's going to start to bubble and boil, or at least, see it started? Mm-hmm. And I have here potatoes, onions, and we're just going to put those in there. And while this thing cooks, we're going to build a nice salad and get ready to have company for Sunday pot roast dinner. How does that sound to you?
Sounds very good.
Welcome back. This is Cooking with the Doctor with Dr. Francisco Contreras. My name is Rick Hill, and what we're talking about today is Sunday Treat Day. In other words, you've been eating those raw salads throughout the week. You've been minding your business, doing what you should do, but you got invited. Your in-laws are coming for dinner on Sunday. And while I'm going to be preparing a bowl of vegetables here in our waterless cookware, but it's a worthy topic to talk about the pressures that a new patient feels when they get home. And, people that warned them not to go, a lot of people warned me not to go. And it's kind of when you get home, they say, okay, well, you got that out of your system. Now let's go to a real doctor. I mean, you just get this let's go get a McDonald's today. And you know, you don't want to just offend people left and right. What is your advice? And I'll start on this on the vegetables, but what do you tell a patient that says, "Doc, they're beating up on me"?
You know, one of the things is this negative messaging that they're giving you, especially when you ask your doctor, "Well, doctor, what is it that I should eat?" And then the doctor's going to look at you and say, "Whatever you want." He may be telling you truly because he's ignorant and he doesn't believe that diet can help you. But just be careful that you do not interpret that as, "I'm dead and he just wants me to go and have fun for whatever is left."
Which is what they told me. It is warm in Tijuana. What does that mean?
And so, you know, you stick to your guns in that sense. You are doing the correct thing. What you're doing with us is highly scientific. Every element of the diet, including all of the foods that we're consuming here right now, there's a lot of science behind it. Because a lot of people have the idea that we're just, as I mentioned before, we're just eating for facial entertainment. No, we are eating to get nutrients. And nutrients are going to help your good cells work better. And we are providing you with nutrients that are going to derail the metabolic pathway of malignant cells so that they do not produce the proteins necessary for them to survive. So food is actually a major, major part of the therapy.
Well, we're trying to toe the line here. We have organic corn, we have organic peas, and these two things kind of go with pot roast. We're going to do more nutritious vegetables next week.
Yes.
The ones that have some real food value. So we've got carrots, and we got corn, and some peas. We're cooking them all in one pot, and we're not going to boil them. This being waterless cookware, we're going to rinse them and then dump the water back out. And just the amount of water that just naturally clings to the vegetables is all we're going to use, and we're going to cook it on a very low heat. Picture an electric stove, put it on 3. And that's how we're going to cook these, and they are going to be delicious. My grandkids will only now eat vegetables out of Grandpa's little pot because they know the flavor difference. So I'll be right back. I'm going to rinse these. We're just putting some water in there, and then we're going to rinse those. Okay, voila. What number is it?
Number 3.
Number 3. And we're going to make sure the top is closed. It is. And what we're going to do with this stainless steel, surgical stainless steel, by the way, wrapped with aluminum core all the way up the sides and the top, is we're going to create a mini oven, actually. It creates a rainforest in there. In fact, let me just kick it up one here to hasten the... What's going to happen is this thing's going to start jumping. And when it does, you can spin the top because it's actually floating on that rim of water, which creates an airtight seal, and that's why it cooks twice as fast. Earlier today, I showed Dr. Contreras how to bring that to a boil in, 30 seconds, 20 seconds?
It was amazing.
These magnetic cooktops are absolutely wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this get going, and we've got in here our vegetables that are done, and we've got our Sunday pot roast, which we'll be slicing when we come back. So we're going to talk about some books, we're going to talk about the waterless cookware, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. This is Rick Hill and Dr. Francisco Contreras with our Sunday dinner. In-laws are seated at the table. They're waiting for some real food. They don't want this weeds and seeds stuff. So what we're saying is we're using organic, we're using small amounts, and it's really a treat to have a meal like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to plate up some vegetables, and these are the corn, the peas, and the carrots, and just, I'm telling you, there's just, that is so different.
Smell,
yes. It is just so different than regular.
Now, one of the things that I think is important to mention while you're serving, Rick, is that while the diet has to be pretty strict for a cancer patient, not everybody around you needs to eat exactly like you.
That's a good point.
And so when you prepare your meals, you have to prepare something for the rest of the family as well. Now it has to be fun.
I was lucky because my wife pretty much went on the diet with me.
Well, and that's a big support. And you know
That's
that,
huge.
And the message that she was giving to you is, "I'm willing to make the sacrifice
You're worth
for you."
it.
And exactly, and that is a big boost to your immune system.
All right, so what we've got here is a family pot roast. I said family. Everybody hear me say that? I didn't say you're going to put this on your plate and chow down with it. So what we're going to do, the fibers are running this way, and we always want to carve cross grain to the fibers. So I am going to begin cutting this like this.
And why do you have to cut?
Because if you slice meat with the grain, it makes it tough. So look at how perfectly done that is.
That is wonderful. Looks very
Are you excited?
Yes.
Jumping up and down? I'm telling you, this is really going to be a treat. Now, I'd like to slice off what I think me, a cancer person, ought to be eating. And you're going to go, you know, you're dreaming, pal. But we're here because we want you to live as long as I have, 38 years. And it's because I didn't say I could never have a treat. I just said it was going to be only once in a while, like once a week. Well, that's a beautiful piece of meat. We are carnivore. Too little? Maybe too little? I don't know.
Well, how much are you going to serve your mother-in-law?
She's going to get this whole... We want to move her right out of the picture. But I think you got to get used to new portions. How does that look?
That looks wonderful.
Oh yeah, let me put a little gravy on that meat. Ooh.
And would you cut it in 3 pieces so
Yep.
that I can taste it?
Now there's a guy who exercises self-control because he could have just put that whole piece in his mouth and swore by it. All right, take a run at that.
So this is how a very healthy plate looks for a treat on Sundays.
Sunday.
We have somebody as a guest. It's very good.
Now we only put a little seasoning on the break in the potatoes and the gravy and on the vegetables. So we're not over seasoning everything. But it's just, I know the value of this food. I know the organic and the enzymes are there. According to Dr. James Marsden at Kansas State, 95% of the original nutrients of this food is still there the way we cooked it. 95. If you did the traditional boil the vegetables, fry the meat, boil everything to death, you lose over 60% of the original gone. Can never get them back. Tastes the same, tastes good, but the value